special meeting of Brant County Council, December the 17th, 2024. Attendance has been taken, noting that we're all here in person, which is great. Takes us to number 2 on the agenda, which is the approval of the agenda. Being a special meeting, there's nothing we can add to the agenda, so it sits the way it sits. And I'm going to ask Councillor Garneau to move our agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McAlpine, that the agenda for the December 17th, 2024 County of Brant Council special meeting be approved.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed and carried. Number 3 is the declaration of pecuniary interests. I can't imagine that we have any, but if the one that crops up, please let me be the first one to know. Which takes us to number 4 on the agenda, which is a public meeting to present notice of consideration for the engineer's drainage report. It is an open meeting, so I will declare the meeting publicly open now, and I'll call on Paul. Is it Jacob? To come up and present. If you could just give us your name, please, and your legal address for the clerk.
My name is Jacob Rook, and the address for RJ Burnside, representing 35 Mary Street.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead whenever you're.
There we go. Is the mic on? Everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then I did have a presentation prepared for the Simmons Hopkins Municipal Drain Report.
That'd be perfect. Whenever you're ready.
Great, thank you. And I'll just repeat my name. It's Jacob Rook, and I'm here representing RJ Burnside and Associates. So the Simmons Hopkins Municipal Drain. Burnside was appointed by the County of Brant under Section 78.5 of the Ontario Drainage Act to provide a minor improvement for the Simmons Hopkins Municipal Drain. So the minor improvement process, there are some requirements for it. So one of the requirements is the activity must take place on an individual property. All the costs and fees associated with the project are assessed to a single landowner, which in this case is Stubby's Precast Commercial. The activity does not change the function of the existing drain, and there's no proposed changes to how the future maintenance costs are distributed amongst the property owners within the watershed. So this project meets all of those requirements under OREG 521. So report recommendations. What we're recommending under this report is that we're proposing to realign approximately 320 meters of the existing Simmons Hopkins Municipal Drain, and this is all on the Stubby's Precast Commercial property, and that the realigned section be adopted and maintained in accordance with this report for construction specifications gradient, and then the previous report for the Simmons Hopkins Municipal Drain, which is a K-Smart report that was produced in 1998, will be used to distribute all future maintenance costs. So a project cost summary. We have the estimated construction costs just under $125,000, engineering at $20,000, and then sundry and other costs at $15,200 for a total project cost of $160,000. And so yeah, this would be the cost to realign the municipal drain, abandon the previous drainage system, and the writing of the report. All the permits through Department of Fisheries and Oceans and Long Point Region Conservation Authority have been obtained already for the report and the construction work. And then does anyone have any questions for the report?
Council, do you have any questions to the presenter?
Just for my own clarification, the I'm assuming that this drainage basin for the drain goes into Oxford County?
Yes, it extends into the township of Norwich.
Yes, okay, so that's Oxford County, Township of Norwich. With regard to circulation and notice and all that kind of stuff, I'm assuming that it was circulated to Norwich Township?
There's no proposed work within the township of Norwich. All of the work is on the single property, which is Stubby's Precast, which is located in the county of Brant.
So that was going to be my next question. In cases like this, if it's all on one property, then the upstream properties are not notified?
Under the minor improvement process, one of the requirements is that the future maintenance, how the costs are distributed, that is unchanged from the previous report, which is adopted by bylaw. And none of the costs from this project is being assessed to anyone within the watershed. So none of the properties upstream have any financial interest, nor does the project affect the function of the drain. So they would have not been notified.
And my last question, Mr. Mayor, with the new construction, the new realignment, obviously that won't, when that's taking place, that won't affect the operation of the existing drain?
That is correct. So under the permits that we've received through DFO, Long Point Region, and just general best practice, we plan to leave the existing channel in place until the newly constructed channel has been fully vegetated and is able to handle the flows from the existing drainage system without adverse effects such as erosion.
Are there any other questions? Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Jacob. Jacob, a couple questions. Did Stubby's have to do this in order to build? Was that?
That's not necessarily for me to comment on. I know that they were proposing some development on their property, and they had requested for the realignment to occur. Once we were appointed for the realignment, we took a look at it from an engineering perspective, a municipal drainage perspective, and didn't see any issues with it. And they were willing to pay all the costs and meet the requirements of the minor improvement process. So we facilitated the project through the municipal under the Ontario Drainage Act. Whether or not they needed to do it for development, it sounds like it definitely helped their property. But yeah, that's
Okay, so you don't know for sure. Because I don't know how far away the current building is from the drain now. A map of that would have been good.
Sure, through the chair, if I can. Stubby's has an engineering development engineer working on their property, and they're the ones that put the plans together for the relocation of the drain. Our report is just incorporating what they want to do on their property. So anything that they're doing on their property would be through the development through the municipality, right? We are just facilitating it under the Drainage Act, under Section 78.5 of the Act.
Okay, but like you said, I'm asking about this one, but I'm also thinking of another one that's before us. In the report, you say you're going to build it to a 2-year storm standard. Now, I've not seen that from any drain. One drain we had, it was a 100-year storm. The other one is, I think, a 1 in 10 year. So, but you're justifying that based on the fact that even if we have a massive amount of rainfall, there won't be a lot of consequences. Did I read that correct?
yes. So under publication 852, which is a MAFRA publication for the design of municipal drainage systems, they recommend that for open channel systems, a 2-year design storm be used for capacity requirements. And looking at the watershed and the surrounding area being agricultural, there's very little risk for infrastructure in the area if the municipal drainage system does overtops its banks. And then under the minor improvement process, one of the requirements is not to change the function of the drain. So we are matching the existing drain in terms of capacity and storage requirements.
Okay, so kind of like a cost-benefit analysis. Not going to be a lot of cost, so that's why you're going that route. Last question. I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Well, you will. I cannot change a natural water course in Ontario. I don't think I can. But changing municipal drains is not an issue?
Yes, so a natural water course, you would have to get the appropriate permits to do work. Whether or not the Conservation Authority and Department of Fisheries and Oceans would let you do those activities is up to them. For municipal drainage projects, as long as we go through the proper permitting process through Department of Fisheries and Oceans and the local Conservation Authority, we're able to do this work. And then under this report, we've already received the permits required to do the work.
Okay, thank you.
And just for clarification for the clerk, the second speaker, you're Paul?
I am Paul, through you, Your Mayor, I am Paul McIntyre. I'm the signing authority for this report.
Thank you very much. Councillor Pierce, you're next.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Through you, just a question on something you had said there through Councillor Chambers. So you're going to build the new one, and then you say you let it sit until the foliage grows around it and stuff. How long of a time frame is that usually?
That's a good question. Typically, for germination to occur, we would expect kind of through the summer months. I know there's timing windows associated with the work, so I can look at our permitting from DFO, but there's not supposed to be any in-water works between a certain period. I don't believe that restricts the contractor from working outside of the water and constructing the channel, let's say earlier in the year, letting it grow in and vegetate, and then potentially doing the realignment or connecting the water course later on once the vegetation has been established. But in terms of how long that'll take to establish sufficiently, I guess it all depends on when they plant and what material they use, such as hydroseed or hand seeding or whatnot. Paul, do you have any comments on that?
Not just general. The intent would be that the newly aligned channel will have some time to vegetate before the actual flows get introduced into it. Yeah.
To follow up, and I appreciate that, but are we talking 3 months? Are we talking 3 years, or like 6 months within the same year?
Yeah, we would expect within the same year the vegetation will be established well enough to introduce flow to the channel.
Okay. Thank you.
Does council have any other questions to the delegation? Councillor Coleman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the presenters, is there field tile that has to be moved and whatnot that will be draining into this?
No, there's no field tile currently. It's a fully open channel system, and it's proposed to remain a channel system, just realigned on the property.
And again, if I can add, the realignment is to the boundary, so moving the ditch to the boundary of the property. So if there is an existing tile, it'll still be there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, and because it's a public meeting, we'll open questions. Is there anyone in the room that has anything to add to this application? I'll ask for the second time. Do you have anything to add to this? No. And I'll ask for the third and final time. Is there anyone in the room that wants to speak to this application? Seeing none, we'll call the public meeting closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The application is before us. Can I get a motion to put it on the floor? Councillor Pierce, Councillor Coleman. Any other questions? Everyone's clear on what we're voting on? Call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. In camera, we have nothing to go in camera for, which takes us number 6 is our bylaws, and we have Councillor Oakley going to take us through the bylaws.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Kyle that bylaw 130-24 and 131-24 be read a first time.
Thank you. All those in favor of the first reading of both those bylaws?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
that's not the numbers that are on our agenda.
130-24 and 131-24?
So we got 126 and 127.
Okay, the clerk's going to find out why that's like that.
Through your worship to council, the actual numbers are 130-24 and 131-24. The clerk's department realized that those two bylaw numbers that you have in front of you were used in the next council meeting's agenda. So these are the new numbers.
Okay then.
Thank you. So that's the first reading of those two. All those in favor of the first reading? Thank you. And we're going to do the second reading of 130-24, and we're only going to do 2 readings on that and 3 on the other one. So for the second reading of 130-24, all those in favor? Are there any questions to the second reading of 130-24? Seeing none, we'll move on to the second reading. Did we do the second reading? No. Second reading of 131-24. All those in favor of the second reading? Are there any questions to that? Seeing none, Councillor Oakley, if you want to do the third reading of 131-24.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Kyle that bylaw 131-24 be read a third time, passed, signed, and executed.
All those in favor of the third reading? Opposed and carried. Thank you. That takes us to the end of the agenda. Number 7, which is the next meeting, which is going to be December right away in a couple of hours. We'll say goodbye to Councillor Miller. I understand he has a birthday party to go to. Everyone else is going to be here. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please? Councillor Oakley, we're adjourned. Thank you.